So you have nothing to say? You're not like full George Carlin. I have here's a series of things, a list of things that are pissing me off.
Oh, I probably have that,
Okay.
but I mean nothing like, beneficial to anyone.
I have been obsessed.
I'm sure whatever you have to say, the things that you are obsessing on are probably more flowery and will help people become better people and therefore the earth become better. I'm ready to burn this goddamn thing down right now and move to Spain.
Dude, I want to live in Spain real bad. And I've got, dual Euro citizenship being from Scotland. So I'm, that is a goal of mine in the next 5 years. I got to wait for the kid to be old enough where he can go, you don't need to fucking be here all the time right now I need to be here all the time, but
that whole parenting thing, what a bunch of bullshit.
I remember there was a Murphy Brown joke. Yeah. You remember the Candace Bergen vehicle.
Yes. Age the podcast.
There was a great line.
87, 88.
Something like that. I watched it all in reruns, motherfucker. So what's the rerun? I watched it all in streaming.
So you saw it colorized.
I saw it.
Welcome to 2 Shots and a Royalty Check, brought to you by Venmo, Your Money, Your Move, and Liquid Death, Murder Your Thirst. Let's get back into it. When we were watching it on CBS, it was in black and white.
Mr. Smith Goes to Washington colorized or whatever the fuck. It was the line from Murphy was teenagers are God's punishment for enjoying sex. And I stand by that assessment. No, man, I love my kid, of course. But
do not screw up that saying. If some of those words are changed around,
God's sex is a punishment for enjoying teenagers, or like that.
Teenagers' sex is
God, it got weird. Yeah,
a lot of things could go wrong there. I'm saying don't do that.
So
that's a Mad Lib landmine.
Mad Lib landmine. Oh my God, band name. Add that to the list. Is that like you drink? I have 2 ex-wives and a band called Mad Lib Landmine. Shit, I can't even get it out. It's like a fucking tongue twister.
Yeah, that's the problem with that band name is you couldn't really say it like after 2 Jaegers after the 4th song. We are Mad Lib Band. You can see. Look at the fucking banner. Shut up.
And do bands even do banners anymore?
They shouldn't. Please do video. Actually, if you do banners, I have seen this recently. Do the banners on the side stage with a QR code.
Yep,
yes, thank you.
I've seen that too.
They're coming back.
It's back, baby. It's back. So my obsession it's a couple days. It's probably about a week old. Is Bill Hader doing Al Pacino impressions?
Yes. Go YouTube Bill Hader.
Oh my God!
All of his impressions, but
it is fucking. So I've been walking around the house going, "There's pubic hair everywhere" all day. Like it's just fucking. And I don't. And that's not a line from anything. That just happened to be the line that I thought would be fitting for a Bill Hader Al Pacino impersonation.
You're writing for Bill Hader now.
It's arts and crafts room and there's pubic hair everywhere. That's like, anyway.
I bet you the young kids don't remember. There was a moment where everyone, and maybe it was just men. I mean, it was mostly men. I think there was women too. But everyone would be doing this.
Yeah.
Hoo-ah.
Hoo-ah.
Every single fucking person you knew was trying to do that.
That's from a movie in the 1900s, right? I wasn't around, so I mean,
yeah.
What movie was that? I don't remember.
Scent of a Woman.
Can you put a little bit more ASMR on that shit?
Scent of a Woman. Coming up next on NPR, Scent of a Woman. Hoo-ah.
Perfect. Nailed it. That's the clip this week. That's the TikTok right there.
I'm Terry Gross.
I'm Robert Siegel.
There was a moment people had it on their voicemails. People would do it as an exclamation.
Hoo-ah.
It was, and I think there aren't a whole lot of catchphrases like that anymore. Like for movies or television that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just out of it. But, like, I don't remember the last one that, like, just everybody was kind of doing. That was a big one.
Well, there was also the WhatsApp. Let's not bring that fucking shit back.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Let's.
By the way, a commercial. Yeah, very nice.
Thank you.
Little AB and Bev. How can you tell you're in the commercial jingle space when you name the corporate brand?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so the thing about Spain, I mean, my TikTok is so fucked up with people from Spain trying to sell me their villas. It's awesome.
Yeah.
For
that sounds
really,
fucking
like,
great.
Cheap, like 160,000 and like why Alicante is where to live, and then of course now I have like sort of the younger folks that are like, I live in Spain and I only make $1,000 a month, you guys, and like
you guys.
Then you would find out later on that someone's like, yeah, I don't know what fucking city you live in, but no, that's not how it works here. You still need to make relatively good money.
Yeah.
And then you find out like that chick that was saying that lives with 3 roommates.
Yeah.
You know, she takes a bus 20 minutes into Madrid every day. I'm sorry, Madrid.
Thank you.
You know, like that sort of thing.
Say it right.
But yeah, my friend who lives down in Mexico, I think you saw that I posted where I had to ask her a question about, there was a music brief.
Yeah.
She's a former music publicist. Former, by the way. Like she is.
She's the fuck out.
She's dunsies. Yeah. I think she was one of those people, like after COVID, she was like, yeah, I don't know why what am I doing here? And so she always emails me, and she always emails me and like, you know, why aren't you living in Mexico? Why aren't you? Like, that's the
Good
way
question.
she puts it now. But like, here was her email to me. It was basically, sorry, I didn't get back to you right away. I was doing yoga with my dog on the beach.
Fuck.
And then Miguel made us mimosas and tacos for breakfast. So I decided to surf a little bit. Anyway, what's up?
I love it.
And I'm like, holy shit.
Don't even worry about getting back to me. You're living the fucking dream right there.
Yeah, that is the Mexican minute. By the way, that was 26 hours later.
Yeah, very good. Miguel made tacos.
It wasn't
I went
later on in the
surfing.
morning. It wasn't in the afternoon. It was the next day later in the morning.
I have a friend that is in Florida right now, and she was doing yoga on the beach the other day. And just, you know, like sitting by the pool and working on some shit and, you know, working on a song here and learning. I'm just like, and even though it's Florida,
Caveat.
It's like, she sent me a couple of videos of like just where she is. And I'm like, fuck, I gotta get out of this snow pit soon. My beach is calling me.
Except obviously, like today, it's a clear blue sky.
It's gorgeous
It's going to be
today.
60 degrees. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And like the other day when we had snow squalls, it was blue by the end of the day. That's
I
another
had to
reason
look
why I
up
love
what
Denver.
the fuck a snow squall was because I was like,
I can tell you what it is. You want to know what it is?
I know what it is now. I did my research. My research. Remember
Do your
those days?
damn research.
Sheep.
I just think it's hilarious because you know what it is? It's a snowstorm.
Yeah.
Like I saw these meteorologists and Denver very rarely has snow squalls. I'm like, that is such bullshit. We've had many.
We have them all the fucking time.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, 24-year-old meteorologist that just moved here from Ohio. It does, we have these things. It's called a storm. Yeah, oh my God, there's a lot of snow out of the clear blue.
There's somebody in the Weather Channel just got real bitchy and said, fuck it, it's a squall.
Yeah,
it's a squall.
Let's name it. This is just like polar vortex and cyclone bomb, and they got to come up with names because, hey, they're trying to get attention.
So we got a cyclone bomb.
Jim Cantori wasn't here. It wasn't really that, it wasn't scary.
Have you seen the dude that likes to incorporate song lyrics into his weather report? There's like a weather...
Rap lyrics. I've seen the rap
He
guy.
does rap. He does... I've seen him do... There was a couple Disturbed songs. There was I don't remember... there's a couple of metal tunes he did. Yeah. And Linkin Park and, fucking Pantera probably. And did rap lyrics and whatever he was listening to on the way to work. He slid into those into that report.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Why?
Because it's serious science, you guys. American Meteorology Society. Meteorologists. Well, I wasn't sure it was meteorological.
There was a video a few years ago of an intern at a radio station around these here parts griping about one of our local treasure weather people and was just loaded on fucking like YouTube at 4 a.m. and couldn't say the word meteorologist, and it was just meteorologist.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, and especially
It's
after
also
14
not easy
Jaegers.
to be a meteorologist in Denver.
Yeah. Guess what?
Yeah,
I'm going to be fucking wrong 60% of the time.
Yeah, but that's okay.
That's okay.
That's all right.
Well, as you said, didn't you say that the weather here, this is fucking riveting conversation for everybody.
That's right. Let's talk about the weather.
It's measured out in Kansas by the airport. So like the city's like 15 degrees warmer and out there at the airport where the, you know, the planes and the lizard people live.
There's actually, like in another life, I went to go get FAA training to be an air traffic controller. Way
This
long
brings
ago,
me
different
much joy.
Yeah, and then I learned about like the Blue Book. That's what you do if there's what used to be called UFOs. That's how long ago this was. But there's all these things that you have to do. There's like a process and a protocol and who you call and what you do.
Is it
But so you
Ghostbusters?
study the radar and you do all these things. Like it's a pretty intensive thing. It was like a month of training. But of course, the reason why I was doing it is that I had met someone who was an air traffic controller, and like at the time, I think they were making like $140,000 a year.
Nice.
And this is like 90, 91, something like that. It was way back in the olden days. You were fucking rich if that's what you were making.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, how does one become one of those? You know, how much more college do I have to go to? And they're like, oh, no. You just take this course, you take this class, and I'll give you the card. Give me the card. Did the thing, started going through the thing.
Yeah.
Then you get to this moment in the class where it's kind of like, let's go on a field trip and meet other air traffic controllers.
Oh, no.
And so you meet other air traffic controllers, and holy shit.
They are
like,
haggard.
I thought the life I lived was rough because I was a musician and I was well into my music career at that point.
Lived on the
like
edge.
As a player and stuff.
Yeah.
They were all drunks, depressives, drug addicts. I think every single person I met was divorced with kids, drink.
Sometimes
and
twice.
But all of them it was madness. And the place that we saw, they had like pool tables and pinball machines and ping pong. It was like it was like what would become tech offices. Like it was when you weren't doing the air traffic controlling, it was like you should be having the easiest time in your life. We serve you lunch. Please don't leave. Because if you work in an airport, you can't go down. Yeah. You know, you can't go to an off-site.
This is pre 9/11 though, right?
Way pre 9/11. Yeah.
So this is a little different.
This is before Muslims. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. So, but I was like, so why all this wonderland here? What's going on here? They're like, well, it's other than heart surgery, this is the most stressful job in the world. Yeah. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, it is. You're guiding 250 lives and souls, and you can never miss.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the words that you give to the pilot is what decides people's fate. And you're doing that every 4 fucking minutes. Oh. And then you add in weather to that. But so the point of this story is to tell you that I had learned all these things about Denver. Like if you get to be an air traffic controller in Denver, you can't just start at the Denver airport because it's like one of the most complicated ones. There's a wind shear that separates Denver. And then there's another like high pressure point that happens where the mountains slope down into the city. So there's a very unique system that Denver specifically has in weather patterns for airlines. And so like you had to go. So then I found out, okay, so I get this and they're going to make me move to like Kansas. Like they're going to make me move to like another little place to do it.
It's a wonder anybody gets on a fucking plane ever after this conversation.
Dude, it was madness. I was like, we shouldn't be doing this. And like, I this is why I didn't do it.
Wow.
I was like, I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
Because I thought, okay, I'll do my little air traffic controller job during the day, and then I'll go play in the bars at night. You know, that's what I was on the hustle, man. This was going to be like my day job, but I was still going to do music.
Of course.
But then I was like, oh no, like I can't do both of these things. I will be drunk all the time.
Yeah. Did you ever see there was a John Cusack movie in the 1900s with
yes,
where he was an air traffic controller? I can remember the fucking name of it, but yeah,
I did. Like that was a thing.
Was that the
where
impetus?
I was like,
were you going like, or was that after?
No, it was after, I believe. I believe so.
Oh,
like it wasn't that I was inspired by his Pushing 10, 1999.
Yes.
But I remember I was totally the Leonardo DiCaprio Once Upon a Time in Hollywood meme where he's drinking a beer and he points at the TV.
Yeah, that one.
That was me watching that movie with a date. Where I was like, dude, that's what it was. That's what I was telling you about.
Yeah. Like, no shit.
That's why I didn't do it.
Yeah. I mean, we are in an election year too. Let's not talk about it too long, but there's a certain type of person. You have to have a certain type of personality to want to do certain jobs. And I believe that air traffic controller, surgeon, and president all require a degree of narcissism that most people have no access to.
Your life is in my hands.
Yeah. I have no interest in that. Not that I'm not narcissistic, but I don't have an interest in that job.
Maybe because you're narcissistic.
Yeah, maybe it's all more about me.
Yeah. Don't do it, kids.
Don't do it, kids.
I looked into it, but I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned a lot about it. It was great.
You learned about wind shear and Arctic bombs, sex bombs.
Divergent patterns over the funnel that is 20,000 feet. You bet. Like, there's a whole reason why never mind, I'm not going to get into it. I geeked out about it at one point about, why planes funnel, why planes circle, how they circle, clockwise, counterclockwise, like, all of that sort of thing. I mean, you learn a lot about it.
It's funny, like, I was... I've been talking to, like, just a diverse group of people lately. Just, I like to expand my circle of humans to not just musicians all the time. And I was having dinner with some people that work in the dental field, shall we say. And I realized something that I really love, and it's people that are excited about a topic. When somebody, I feel like I'm sitting in a room with a toddler that just got crayons and is very excited to show you their drawing. And I love when people are like that. When they have, like, for example, when you're talking about with this air traffic controller stuff, you're getting very excited about it. You're like, you're into this thing, you're into this, and you want to start talking about it. And I'm like, just keep going. Just tell me everything you love about it. I'm excited for you to have this thing. This is such a Stu thing, but it doesn't matter what that person, they could be talking about, like, I'm in waste management and here's what I love about it. I'd be like, fuck yeah, tell me everything about what you love about it.
Oh yeah, anything that someone's passionate about, I'm passionate about it with them.
Yeah, I think that I wish more people did that.
Yeah.
I understand that I think there's something about being a musician and being an artist lends itself to a degree of empathy with other people that's often challenging coming the other way. People do not understand what we do, for the most part.
No,
the normies do not get it. The muggles are on the outside, and it's because it doesn't make sense. You're an artist for a living? Yeah. Well, how does that work? Like any other business. There's a product you make, you figure out how to market it, and then you sell it. What else do you need?
Yeah, except it's you.
Yeah. Well, it depends. It could be...
that's the other thing is that, like, I mean, there is a certain magic about being a music artist that like, you're not, you're able to tell a story in a way that reflects their life perfectly and affects them emotionally, and you're like, how did you learn how to do that? Some of that is just innate.
I think it's I believe it's neurological. I believe that there is okay, hey, ready? We're gonna get a little woo woo and hippy dippy around these here parts.
Ooh, I love woo woo.
Woo woo alert. Woo woo alert. I believe that artists have energetic sensitivities that people who are as artistically driven aren't as attuned to. I don't think that necessarily I'm any different. I think that there's some part of my brain that is receiving information that I'm not aware of, because I don't believe
let's
that.
Get into this.
Yes. Get into it.
The muse. Do you believe in the muse?
In the traditional sense of there's an island of them, and there's in like the Greek sense.
Well, no, in the spiritual sense, like there is an angel that, like, you've heard other musicians and artists. I know that I've talked about songwriting this way, where there's a way that you can write a song as a utility.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to write 4 lines here. I'm going to write 2 lines in a pre-chorus. And I'm going to write 4 lines here, and then the last words are going to kind of rhyme, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a way you can utilitarian like put together a song.
You can use numbers and math and make a grid. Yeah, of course.
But like the best ones are you're just walking, or you're waking, or you're baking, or whatever it is.
You're waking and baking.
That's right, thank you. Or whatever it is. And the song comes from the ether to you in your mind, fully formed. The melody, the words. And it's like, and I wish I knew what you were gonna do. And you're like, holy shit. And
Go, Terry.
You can feel that's something. And I mean, I think that's
Something
where
special,
the talent comes in, is you can feel that's something that needs to be worked on, that should be worked on, that's good enough. It's not just a fleeting thought. It's like, well, where does that come from? Like, you weren't thinking about it. It may not even be the emotional state that you're experiencing. It may be about a breakup, but you're happily in a marriage or whatever.
Yeah.
Drink. Don't drink? Wait a minute. Is that a don't drink line? I'm not sure.
I'm not in a marriage right now.
Drink.
There you go. I got two.
But
two of those.
So there is this thing that the muse gives you, that the universe delivers these things, or that your higher self is pulling it from there. What do you think about that?
Pass. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Totally. Okay, I'm a believer in several weird things. Number one, I believe that it's kind of a fact that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form. All music is energy in the form of waveforms and vibration, and it all goes out, and it's part of the universe around us. Some of us are more sensitive to that than others. Everything that you've ever heard in your life exists around you in some form, or an energy that's been transformed some way or another, right? That's what happens in your brain when you hear a song. You hear a song, it goes in, and it starts this process of gestation in your brain, and eventually, something catalyzes in there because of your energetic sensitivity, and you come up with an idea. But I will also caveat the muse idea. How many times have you come up with a song, written the whole fucking thing down, gone, this is gold, and then somebody goes, did you ever hear the Wham song, blah, 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 and that's what this is? And you go, fuck, that's exactly what that song is. So I think
not as many as the other times.
Yeah.
I will say that happens more when I'm woodshedding. Because I have a guitar in my hand, or I have a piano, and I'm playing with certain notes. But like when it's come down to me, it's very original.
Yeah. Yeah, but
normally
the other part
because
of that,
I will push back on this idea that energy is still around you.
Yeah,
because if you want to get into physics, if you want to get into all of these things,
I do get into
that. Whatever that energy is, and you can call it sound, you can call it thought, you can call it warmth, whatever you want to call that energy, is 20,000 miles behind you, because the universe is expanding, because the Earth is moving, because the solar system is moving away from itself. So nothing is actually near you anymore. In fact, the moment that I just said that is probably 3,000 miles away from us by now.
Okay.
Because the sound wave has already moved. It has already expanded. We are expanding out into a different kind of space in the universe, and you are constantly moving away from the energy you've created and the energy that you have been around. Now, the energy that you call a song, right, that you remember or whatever, that is actually a bit of information that your brain is recreating constantly. So you're not actually accessing the actual energy of the song or the sound. You're actually identifying what is being created and recreated and rewritten over and over and over again in your brain, which is not expanding away from you. That is in your timeline.
Mm-hmm. Also, every time you take a memory off the shelf in your brain, you corrupt it slightly. So it changes every time you check it out. So every time you look at it, every time you go, yes, I remember that time I had 4 balls and 3 nipples. You're actually corrupting that memory, and it goes back on the shelf, and you're like, maybe I had 3.5 balls and 9 nipples. I don't remember.
Or you're reinforcing it.
Yeah, but you're reinforcing your interpretation of that memory, not the actual memory itself.
Right, but that may be right.
Yeah.
Your reinforcement may be right.
All of these things, I think, lean into... you're correct on the science part of this shit. But also...
Sorry.
No, it's fine. But you're also...
But that's just as fucking woo-woo as anything. That energy is in between here and Andromeda sometime.
But what I think is more about is when energy, sound waves, whatever artistic waves passes through us, it latches onto us in the form of a memory or thought or a feeling or this, that, and the other thing. And all of those things are in here. They're up here. Every song you've ever listened to in your life.
He's pointing to his head.
Which one?
You.
No, which head? I mean... Anyway, the point is, this is the reason I believe when kids hit a certain age, they start really fucking with their parents' music. Because by the time they've hit 15 and 16, if you're doing your job as a parent, you've been playing your kid music that means the world to you in an effort to bond with your child. Like my son is like a big fan of, like he loves his Fleetwood Mac, he loves his Beatles, he loves his Muse, he loves his Zeppelin, he loves all he loves bands that I played for him as a kid. We listened to fucking music all the goddamn time when he was a kid, and now he listens to all that plus some weird fucking distorted, shit that I don't understand. He recorded a cover version of a song by himself the other day, in a Mickey Mouse voice, and auto-tuned the fuck out of it in my studio. And I was like just having a great time listening to him do it, but it was distorted and sped up and all fucking horrible sounding. But he was creating it, and he loves that shit. I don't get it. But for him, with all the stuff that he's heard and all of the things that he's been listening to and all the things that have implanted themselves in his brain, the next step for him as a creative person is to fuck it up and rebel against it and create against it and write back at it, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's all of these things. I do believe that to a certain degree that ideas, I probably read this somewhere at some point in time, ideas visit you if you are energetically open to them, and you can either choose to explore it or let it go. And if you let it go, somebody else will get it. Which is why I've written the same song as fucking Justin Bieber at least 7 or 8 times.
Yeah, I mean, I get that in some forms. Mm-hmm. I mean, because it certainly has happened. I'm not saying like there's been like an earworm that happens, but I just basically think that that's an echo of something that I did hear in the background, or something that I did. It could be on the street, a car going by that I didn't recognize. Yeah. But there are times where I think that. So you want to get woo woo?
Let's get it, baby. Come on.
Let's fuck it. Let's go deep into this shit.
Deep into it.
I'm 12 years old, playing on my great aunt's Kimball Baby Grand piano. No, there isn't a drum machine.
That's just
isn't a drum machine.
That's a backdrop to your story.
That's a horrible backdrop. As a music supervisor? No, I'm just kidding.
Fuck your backdrop. Get out of here.
What's that, a Lindrum? Jesus.
What's wrong?
Okay, so I'm like 12. I'm playing on this piano, and I used to just always play I could always play piano like, improvised. Okay. And I learned how to play piano very early on, like for fun, but not well.
Okay.
Like I didn't know keys and notes and things and sheet music.
Okay.
But so like I would sit there as a young kid when my great aunt was having like mixers for the Elks clubs and everybody, all these old people are drunk, and I would just play like I was in a jazz piano bar.
Nice.
And it was like a nice little party trick. Look at this 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old just sort of tinkering on the piano.
Oh.
And then the gig was always up when, you know, Margaret would ask me, "Oh, do you know how to play Fly Me to the Moon?" And of course, no, I don't know how to play any songs. I'm just fucking around.
Yeah.
Like it's
And
some black
finding out.
notes, some white notes, you know, some black keys, some white keys.
Yeah.
And so I would do this all the time, but I loved that piano and I would play on it. And there was one time I was 12. I'll never forget it. I'm 12 years old. I'm playing. It's in the afternoon, just messing around. And I could see basically what looked like an apparition, call it an angel, call it whatever, that was telling me her name was Glennis. I'd never heard that name before. Glynnis.
Yeah.
Even gave me the spelling of it.
Oh, wow.
And said, "I am your muse. I am your musical angel."
I love this.
And basically made my fingers play this like a melody and an underlying chords that I'd never really played before. I mean, I was playing in like C sharp, which I would not be playing in. And I wouldn't know that until later on. And actually, there's this song that I can kind of recreate from memory that I played that day. But she was basically telling me, "I will always be with you if you always listen." And I did not respect that a lot of times.
Wow.
Where I got a song, I didn't pull out my notebook. Where I got a song, I didn't pull it out and finish it right away. But that is where I think a lot of those things. So now from that moment on, I basically said, okay, well, that's fine. I didn't put anything more on that, by the way. That didn't mean that the existence of God was real. It didn't mean that the devil was real. It didn't mean I couldn't write songs on my own. It didn't mean that the universe isn't a blob of energy. Nothing. I just was like, I took it for what it was. And that was it. And that was it. And every now and then I would hear, like, not her voice, but I would feel her presence saying, "This is from me." Like, this is a universal song. This is a song, not UMG. But this is a song.
This is the only podcast you have to make that caveat.
That's right. Yeah. And so like it was something. And my mom and I shared this idea of, she brought up later on, she was like, "Do you know a person named Glenn something? I've never heard this name before." And I was like, "What?"
I'm
and
making a fucked up face right now. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a very woo-woo moment. We saged the place. You know, we did all the things with the crystals. We got her back. But so it was, that actually happened. And that's always been something that's stuck with me.
I love that. I've had a couple of experiences like that in my life. The most recent one was probably July of last year. I was living in a house down in Denver, and I woke up at 2:00 in the morning, and my house was daylight. It was bright daylight in my house. And wow. I could see my kitchen counter out, because we had like a ranch style house we lived in, me and the kid. And I could see out to the kitchen counter, and there was an old man sitting out there. He was wearing a hat with a duck feather in it, and he was eating soup at my kitchen counter.
Wow.
And he sat up and he looked at me, and I blinked, and it was dark and 2:30 in the morning again.
Wow.
Well, I don't know. And of course, I had a witchy friend of mine say, "Well, that was your future older self visiting you." I'm like, okay. And they say, "How old do you think he is?" I was like, 111 years old. I don't know why I thought he was 111 years old. But I don't know. There was something, it was fucking terrifying and bizarrely comforting at the same time, you know? I don't know. I don't like it. But like, I believe that artists and musicians, I'm not equating this, artists and drummers, sorry, drummers, musicians and drummers.
Wow.
I believe
just caught us stray.
Yeah, just kind of gone. I believe
34 minutes we got without making fun of drummers.
I think that artists are more sensitive to universal.
Mark it, Kelsey.
Mark it. I already did. I marked it as we're gonna put a hallelujah over it. I believe that we're more energetically sensitive to the things in the universe that are, what is it Shakespeare said? There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy.
But why is that?
Why
like,
is that?
we're not special people. We have the same DNA. We have the same whatever. Like, why would it be that I can pull a song out of the sky?
Yeah.
That just comes into my head while I'm walking. Just a melody, and then I'm singing it along, and I have the words and all of that. Why is that any different than the other 8 billion people in the world? Well, let's just call it the other 9.9 billion people in the world. Like, why is it that there are just some people that can create out of nothing? See, this is the thing. This is the beauty of music that I've actually taught this in a class before.
Yeah.
That, like, of all other art forms, if you're a painter, and this is why Picasso was kind of amazing, like, even if you don't get Cubist and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But if you're a painter, your inspiration comes from seeing that mountain, from seeing that field. Mm-hmm. And you paint it in your mind's eye of what you think it could look like, or how it inspires you or whatever.
Yeah.
But it didn't come from nowhere. It's not like you're painting a mountain that's never been, that you've never seen necessarily, right?
Yeah.
The Cubist thing about, like, changing the eyes to be completely different, that is kind of that genius of that part. But, like, music is created from absolutely nothing. Like, you're not recreating. I'm saying there are general tones.
I made a face.
Yes, Stu made a big face there. I'm just saying.
I say
that,
James did.
There are general tones and general notes that we use in Western music, let's say.
There's
right? And
12, yeah.
And we should mention that as well, is that this is a very Western music point of view.
Yeah.
But that, like, when you sit down to basically create a song that, like, you know, you're not taking, like, another song, like, okay, for the most part, I'm saying obviously there are plenty of musicians that do this, but you're not taking a song and then reflecting it in your own experience. You are trying to create something that has not been heard. You know, I'd say, like, if you take popular music, if you take Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, that is not something that was heard before. That's not something from the 20s. It's not something from the 50s. It's not something that was heard, but it is an original composition.
Yeah.
The meter of it, the vocals of it, the actual words of it are very original. And so, just to put it in that sort of perspective, that comes from absolutely nowhere. It's an inspiration, granted, but it's also something that, like, it's a different kind of art form that comes from nowhere, and you're using something in your head and then the tools around you to make that sound. I don't know. That's my point of view. I know that there's plenty of people that don't think that that's the case, that they think that we're all just recycling things that we've heard before, and then as a pastiche, we're putting them together in a different way. Mm-hmm. But I've seen and heard enough music to know that that's not true.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But I also know that it's a combination. I think it's a combination of a lot of complex neurological and factors. Like, there's the at a certain point, all of your influences get so muddled up in your brain it becomes an original idea. There's that part of it. Like, I think Geddy Lee had a quote. Let's see here. No, that's not it. That he talked about, like...
Did Geddy Lee just text you? What the fuck
no,
was that?
I was looking it up, but I couldn't find the actual quote. And I thought, and all of a sudden, my because apparently my old man ghost is visiting, my phone went up a bit. So and then I picked up the quote and I was like, oh, that's not it. But he said something along the lines of, originality is when your influences get so mixed together that you can't tell the difference anymore. You can't tell what's them and what's you. There's that piece of it. There's also the piece of it that I believe everybody has the capacity to be artistic. Some people nurture it, some people don't. And
you really believe that?
Oh, yeah.
You have not given guitar lessons to some people
I've given guitar lessons.
Cannot play guitar at all, ever will.
I think that the other piece of it, the neurological, the nurture and the nature piece of this, comes into play. If you're in a household and you want to learn music and your parents are like, get a fucking job, you're going to be a lawyer and a doctor like us, you're not going to nurture that artistic piece of you because you're being told otherwise. right? Even if you do want to do that. Although we've seen it the other way where somebody's rebelled against that because they can't help but nurture it inside them. It's there's the right balance of trauma and, beauty and correct raising and fucked up, whatever stuff. There's this balance of things that happens to create us as people. And I think there's even a thing right now that says it's really kind of a gross thing, but there's a certain amount of challenge and mild trauma that is actually healthy for your development or something like that. I can't remember the exact quote, so please don't at me too bad. But there's certain things that you go through as a human being to, grow some humility or whatever,
You're forged by overcoming.
Yes, that kind of stuff.
By the way, let me give you that quote from Geddy Lee.
Please, thank you.
What's originality? Well, originality is when you have so many influences that you can't tell which. You can't tell them anymore. You can't see them anymore. They've all melded. And as your confidence rises in your craft, your personality steps in front of those influences, and that's what forms your voice.
I think that's also the key to what you're saying about when people say we're just regurgitating. One of the things that I'm always encouraging with the songwriters I work with, I often get this, well, somebody's already written that song. I'm like, who gives a fuck? I don't care. I want to hear yours. I want to hear your interpretation. It's the Cubist idea. I want to see Picasso's version of every little thing she does as magic. Actually, I don't, because he was probably a horrible singer with his, ear thing.
Every magic thing she does is
ears.
Tragic things for...
yeah, don't fuck. That's another Mad Lib.
Mad Lib band.
What was it called? Mad Lib?
Mad Lib band name.
Mad Lib. It was an L.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
Liberation Army? Fuck, I don't know.
Where are you?
I know she's holding on to it somewhere. By the way, I really love that you know your muse's name. I know a few people that have been in touch with, various spirits or whatever that visit to, that are on this path. I follow a few people on Instagram that are, really in touch with that part of them. And I guess there's a part of me that's got this. I was raised a Christian. And, I still get very, very uncomfortable, even though I really lean into more of this broad spiritual idea than the narrow, myopic view of modern day Christianity. But it's still like when I deal with, spirits and, like that kind of stuff, I can still hear, Sunday school teachers or, yeah, it's the devil. And there's there's that fear of, evil and all that kind of stuff in me. And it's like I see more evil day to day if I turn on the fucking news than I ever did in, the spirit world. So go ahead.
I'm totally deconstructed. So
yeah. Will you tell me how to do it? Because I still have challenges with that.
Yes. Here's how to do it. It's very simple. I went, first of all, the best atheists are always the ones who studied the most.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Right? Mm-hmm. I studied multiple religions, studied the Bible I was close to becoming, a revivalist preacher, basically.
But this was before Muslims, as you said earlier.
That's right. But, I studied and went to temples and went to Buddhist temples and went to, I did all of it. All of it, as much as I could. Not Zoroastrianism.
Zoroastrianism?
But most of it, right?
Yeah.
But, here's where I came out on. Then I came into the sort of the atheist thought of this is all bullshit. Because first of all, if you don't rely on the Bible, if you don't rely on the teachings of your upbringing as a child hearing these scary stories, if you don't do this, you're going to hell, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
If you don't rely on that, but you still fall under, I'm spiritual and I believe that there's something, and I still believe there is something, but that whatever this is, what they're teaching you is kind of bullshit. That's also bullshit because it doesn't, if the origin is corrupt, you can't just make it up on your own. It came from something.
Yeah.
So this whole thing of I believe mostly all of that is just men have twisted it or whatever. Well, no, if it's real, then men couldn't have twisted it. If there was a perfect message in there, if there was a spirituality that shone through the whole thing, it wouldn't have been corrupted by men for centuries and centuries, right? But there's So you can get to the atheist point of view of there is nothing. But that's also a stupid point of view because you can't disprove nothing, right? You can't prove or disprove it.
Yeah.
And so I have come to the point of view, and much later on, and I could tell you all the reasons why deconstruction. I can tell you about the reasons why all the Bible verses that you quote, you have no idea who wrote them, and you should actually have a much better understanding about literary writings and why writings happen between Hebrew and Greek and the things you think you know about the Bible are usually wrong. David and Goliath is completely wrong. There are historical facts that are completely wrong, that the Bible is not infallible, that first of all, the Old Testament, that's not your book. There's a whole reason why you can get through all of those things. But here's where I came down on. It is this. I don't know whether God exists or not. Or God exists or not, right? But I do know this, and this is the problem that Christians will have with me. If there is, I will spit in his fucking face for what he has done to the children that he upraised, for the people that he created, for the world that he allowed to happen around them, for childhood cancer, for people that have lived in pain for all of their life, simply because you let another preacher fool them, take their money, hurt them personally, sexually abuse them in your fucking church. I will spit in his face and never walk in through those pearly gates. That is my point of view about God or gods. If there is a Satan, I will do the same thing. I will spit in his fucking face. If you're supposed to stand up for us humans against this horrible, powerful God that is abusing the humans, his children, all because he is so narcissistic, he begs of you and requires you to bend the knee and worship him, or they will be punished forever. I will spit in Satan's face as well for not standing up for humans. And by the way, where's your book? Where are your teachings that are supposed to counteract this? Because you have not done your job either. If you are the rebel, if you are the rebellion standing up for all of humanity, I will spit in their face too. I don't give a fuck about either of them. That's where I come down on religion.
I just hope both teams enjoy themselves and have a great time.
Yeah, they do enjoy themselves, by the way.
God, wow, that was a spectacular rant, by the way. That's very good. I enjoyed that.
I feel very comfortable in that because I don't want to be in the heaven with the Christians, and I don't want to necessarily be in a hell with the other people who you want to say they did evil, but they didn't really do evil. There is no such thing as evil. There are people that do horrible things. Yeah, there just are people that do horrible things, and a lot of the people are good people, and there's shades of it all. Yeah, but that's my point. Is that like I'm really hope that there is neither. But I can't say whether or not there isn't. But I do know how I'm going to respond the second I am in front of either of them.
I think there you go. I think it's more complicated than just one or the other because I think they're both fucking boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. The idea of, eternal hell and damnation, like you're on fire the whole fucking time. Eventually, at a point, you just go, all right, I'm here. I'm on fire again. Fuck. Or
it makes no sense.
Or you're up in like heaven and you're looking and you're like, oh yeah, we're all floating around on clouds. There's no conflict. I have no barometer for what is great because I don't know what's bad. I don't understand light and dark. It's like either way, it just sounds boring. I think it's a base attempt at trying to understand the something that is going to be completely beyond our comprehension because we can't process it while trapped in our fleshy bags of fart and some water.
Absolutely. And the takeaway from this is like, well, then what makes you be moral? What makes you have values and everything? I live by stoicisms, okay?
I hope
you can only do what you can do today and plan to be the best you tomorrow and treat everyone as well as you can.
Yep.
But mostly treat yourself well.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be good to anyone else if you don't do that. That's the stoicism. Follow stoicism.
Can I put that on a fucking poster and I'll just like...
You can put it on a coffee cup, but it's a big coffee cup.
It'll be the cat hanging on by one claw and it just says, Stu says. I hope both teams have fun.
Totally. All right. right, so let's get to music business. Thank you, Kelsey.
Yeah, thanks,
Putting
Kelsey.
up a big old sign with a Sharpie that says "Music Business, assholes."
No, she just like keeps holding up. We talked about accessing the muse. We talked about
That's
the
right.
originality.
That's as much
songwriting. That's part of the business too. Creativity, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, I know we have this thing in the rundown, but I have something if you want to keep this a little ethereal.
I do kind of like. I kind of like this this vibe though. I like this energy. If you're cool with that.
Okay, here's my imparting of wisdom, because we did have a little question about what should I do right now to become better at music, to be, and I think that there was a little bit of implication. There was a conversation more than it was an email or anything. There was an implication about, release schedules and how do I record stuff and what kind of, with the podcast that we had the last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, about the trends in music, what should I be writing and all of that.
Yeah.
And here is my answer to it.
Okay.
What you should be doing right now, if you're really struggling with it, and this is counterintuitive, don't do anything. Don't do music. Don't set down to be in music, to write more music, to release more music, to be better at your career. Take a little time to live life as a sponge a little bit more. If you're struggling with the kind of music you're creating, you're not really hitting with fans. If you're struggling to find listeners, and if you're struggling to find people to come to your shows, if you're struggling to find because what we're really talking about here is inspiration.
Yeah.
And this kind of gets into the Rick Rubin things, right? This gets into, you've got to make a decision about whether you want to be a utility player in the music business. And I can teach you how to make, Stu and I can both teach you how to make some money, stay in this business for a long time, and do okay.
Yeah.
But what we can't teach you is how to be one of the greatest.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest, to become that, you basically have to just sort of live.
Yeah.
You have to live and allow those muse thoughts to come to you. You have to experience more life that gives you a different perspective.
Yeah.
If you are stuck in a studio and release schedules and trying to release TikToks and do your social medias and do all that kind of shit, well, that's, then you're just going to turn the page from Bob Seger all the time, right? If you're on the road all the time and you're not paying attention to life around you, you're not making mistakes, you're not taking big chances with friends, you're not trying to repair relationships or build new ones. That has nothing to do with music, but doesn't it? It has everything to do with the next song you're going to write. It has everything to do with how you're going to go about this. I would say, and this is what I told this person, take 6 months and just live with a notebook, by the way, with a notebook. Don't be blind. Don't be blind, but also let these things marinate. Let those song clips come to you from the universe. Let those observations about life come to you. Write them down. Do a little voice note or whatever, but do not finish that song.
Yeah.
And let those things kind of bug you.
Yeah.
There's you, and I want to know what you think about this, but I will tell you this. There is nothing better than a song that keeps poking you.
Oh, yeah.
That months later is dude, remember this? That a song that just keeps coming back into your head late at night, early in the morning, whatever, it just keeps, and you're like, oh, fuck, that's right, that little line. Oh, that's right, that little melody. God, I remember that. And then play with that a little bit, and you write it a little bit more, and then you let it go. You let it go. Yeah. And if it's really good, it will come back.
Yeah.
It will come back
Baby,
to you.
come back. You can blame it all on me. There you go. Nailed it.
I was wrong. I don't know how Michael McDonald got on that session, but I think he was a member of Player for 2 Mates.
Really?
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
Have you seen, I think it was on.
Hold on, now I got to find out. Did Michael McDonald sing
on Baby Come
with
Back
Player?
I've seen a bunch of Michael McDonald shit this week. This sidebar real quick, and then I'll get into the question. But there was a video of, I think that was the What a Fool Believes. There was the acapellas of that. I think I sent it to you on Instagram, and it's just fucking gorgeous. And then there was another tune. It's a really fucked up, like Hammond part. Not Hammond part, it's a Rhodes part. I can't remember what fucking song it was. But he was with Rick Beato, and he just goes, oh, yeah, you just have to know where one is. And then you can find it. I don't remember what fucking song it was.
Oh, it's all on the one. Yeah.
What fucking song is that? Because you were just...
Hey, don't worry, I've been lied to. Oh, fuck. I got to get through the whole thing.
I know, you gotta get to the fucking...
Minute by minute.
There you go, thank you.
Minute by minute.
Jesus, that took...
I keep holding on.
Yeah.
I keep holding on.
Okay, so... I am of a very similar opinion to you, which is if it's causing stress and tension, it's time to let it go a little bit. Because that is just going to cause... It's the idea of, like, I'm sitting here and I'm going, who is that third guy in MASH? And, you know, like, the second I'm, like, fucking, like, I've got a hold of it and I'm squeezing the fuck out of the question and I'm just racking my brain, I'm not going to find the answer.
Jamie Farr?
Okay, thank you. Who is Alan Alda? Yep, that's the guy. No, I'm kidding.
That's the first guy.
That's the first guy. I know. But you know, like, and then you know, of course, the second I let go and I wind down, I go to bed 4 o'clock in the morning. I sit there like Jamie Farr. You know, it's like fucking pop up like that. So there's this idea that I've been having conversations with a friend of mine, a woman who just left her job and is moving into more of kind of an artistic career. Her side career is now she wants to be focused kind of on the kind of a music thing, and she's made what she was doing for her job kind of a part-time thing to kind of pay the bills while she's building her music career. And she is like a little stressed over it. She's like, I just don't fucking know what to do. And of course, like you and I are giving very similar advice, which is just, it's okay to just not. It's okay to you know, let it go and kind of see what feels good, you know, like to get into this place where, you know, like she's talented and she's really good looking and, you know, she's got all the shit together to really do all the things she wants to do with it. And, she's getting some offers to go do some things. I'm like, go fucking try it all. Go do that gig. Go do that gig. Go do that gig. You know, if it feels good, and if it starts not feeling good, stop doing that. Do something else. If it feels good to sit down and write a song, sit down and write a song. If it doesn't feel good, don't fucking do that. Yeah. Right now, you got to figure out what feels best to you. And the more that you build into this thing, the actions that give you that heart glow, those gut pang, you know, those things that, you know, like, oh yeah, that feels really fucking good. The more you do that, the more you will be able to recognize the things that will take you to exactly where you're supposed to go with all of this.
Yeah, and what's worth working on.
Yeah, what's worth working on. Rather than like, I got to do...
You can bang out a good song.
Of course. Yeah,
a good production.
Yeah, and I mean, if that feels, I mean, I can sit in the fucking studio and I can be in here. I mean, I'm in my editing bay. I was in my editing bay for 15 fucking hours the other day working on something. Yeah. And, you know, like of course, I have an alarm set every 90 minutes to get up and stretch and maybe take the dog for a walk or do a workout or go something. I have to. Otherwise, I told you I'm going to be fucking 111 apparently eating soup at my kitchen counter soon. But like I could do that all fucking day.
Yeah.
And I would not notice time go by because it's something I love to do. And every time I do it, and every time I get that mix right and I get that plug-in sitting in the right place, I'm like, oh, I got an idea. I'm going to, you know, fucking throw a delay that right across the fucking, you know, like stereo field here. I'm going to, you know, and it works. I'm like, it's the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
You know?
I think one of the biggest problems with musicians and artists and this is an age thing, it's as you get older, you really feel like you have to be more productive.
Yeah.
You know, if you think back to when you were 13 or 20 or whatever, and you're just kind of picking up your instrument and you're just in your bedroom just fucking around. You know, you're playing, you don't know what your tone is, so you're fucking around with all the tones. You don't know the synth sets that you're going to be playing with, so you're just pressing buttons. You're like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And you just mess with a bunch of things. If you can somehow institute that into your sort of semi-professional life now.
Yeah.
Like if you can, open up your DAW or whatever, open up your thing and just have fun.
Fuck
play with
around
it
and find out. Yeah.
Yeah. And without trying to be productive, like you're going to probably get a better outcome. Probably.
Yeah. I think that's, we've lost this idea. Well, it's I'm home this week with my son. Here, this story does have relevance, I promise. He was sick for a couple of days, and I said, "You're not allowed to spend the entire fucking day on your computer or watching TV." And he's sitting on the couch, and he's got a book he's reading, and he's got a book he's writing. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm bored, so I'm writing a book." And I went, "Fuck yeah."
Yeah.
That we've lost this idea, in this whole thing of like, how often do you just sit and fucking stare off in the middle distance? I spend time meditating and daydreaming every single fucking day. When I go on a walk, I don't have my phone with me. No. I'm looking for ways to not be connected so that I can connect more with this thing that loves to create inside of me, this part of me that's creative. And the more that I disconnect from, needing constant stimulation, and constant, like playing Words with Friends who plays fucking Words with Friends anymore? No, not it. Yeah. I disconnect from playing games or amusing myself at all times with distractions. The more creative I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. And this doesn't work for everyone. This is really about, like, if you're in the heart of your career and you don't have as much time as everyone else, I get it. You're on the grind. You're trying to get that next album out and all of that. This is really if you feel like you've hit a wall, if you're struggling with what the next move is going to be, or you're not satisfied with sort of your output. I know that this has helped me personally. Yeah. This has really helped me personally, by the way, you guys. Like, seriously, fucking dicking around. Fucking around,
like, finding out. Absolutely.
You will just, like, I wrote one of the better songs that I've ever written that way because I was like, oh, I've never heard that tone that way. Yeah. And it like sort of messed with me. And so then I wrote a really weird rhythm around it that I literally could not play the moment I wrote it. Yeah. I had to learn how to play that song. And that's, like, I would have never sat down to write that. Yeah. Like, why would you write something you couldn't play? And so that's when those kind of things. That's when those kind of moments are great. Yeah. It's that dick around, be bored. So the end of this is so this podcast is about don't do music, dick around, don't do anything, be bored. Yeah. Hope to God that you believe in a muse or the universe, right? Because we don't do any of the work. Just let it come to you. Is that right? Do I have that about right?
That's part of it. I think it's all of it. It's a combination of that, and occasionally you got to fucking go in a room and learn to write a song on demand.
Yeah, you got to do both.
Got to do both. You got to do all of it.
Yeah.
So,
but that's what we're talking about today, is just to make sure that you. I bet most of you aren't doing what we're saying, is doing nothing. Yeah. And you probably need to do a little bit more of doing nothing so that you can do a lot more of doing something. Yeah. Hey!
Put that on the fucking poster with the cat. Hang in there.
All right, let's get to Sync of the Week.
As I said, I'm going to go first because I don't have a sync this week because I have been in the studio 70 hours this week and I've not watched a fucking thing. I could tell you one I had 4 months ago that I didn't announce to everybody, but...
That would be nice. Let's and then you didn't have to say that first part, and then we could actually have a part of the show that is sponsored, like we're supposed to.
Oh shit! Okay,
but no, go ahead.
Right, fuck it.
No,
go
fuck
fuck yourself.
Tell me about
Scrubs season 5. Scrubs season 5, episode 12 was "Fix You" by the Fray, or "Fix You" by Coldplay. I'll fucking see myself out. Fix You by Coldplay, Scrubs Season 5, Episode 12. Probably my favorite Coldplay song, Cold Fray song. Sorry, Isaac Joe, I love
Coldplay
you guys.
Coldplay is good?
Yeah, I like Coldplay.
Do people like Coldplay?
I love Coldplay.
Are they better than Radiohead?
No.
Okay.
That's a very fucking easy question for me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I like Coldplay though. I dig the vibes. So that was in Scrubs, and I was rewatching again. I do the comfort food show at the end of the day to wind down, and Scrubs is a show I've watched many, many, many times, and I forgot that Colin Hay was in this shit. So you had like some Men at Work songs. You had his original song "Beautiful World," but then that episode was "Fix You" by Coldplay. I'll get it right this time. Jesus Christ. And Krista Miller was a soup on that, but I don't think she was credited on IMDb for that one.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. And she, of course, was in the show and was fucking amazing in it. Let me make sure. Because last time I looked, because I wrote that down a while ago.
Well, yeah.
You could have just said that you had this from a little while ago.
The whole preamble.
I did the preamble. I wanted everybody to know how work I'm on.
Back.
I've been working very, very hard on a lot of things. Music editor, composer. Yeah, there's not a soup listed on that.
Oh, okay. Well, very nice.
Yeah. So, yeah. The next one is from Ted Lasso.
Oh, very nice.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Have you seen that show?
I will give you mine.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I wasn't busy at all this week.
Fuck, fine.
And I watched something. You watched something. Come on. Nothing?
No, but
Anyway.
I watched things I've already said were my sync of the week, so I can't say it again.
I know. You got to be careful. All right. I watched a little film on Hulu called Next Goal Wins.
Ooh, Taika Waititi and Fassbender, right?
Yes, this is Mr. Waititi and Fassbender.
Yeah.
And just think, basically, this is alcoholic Ted Lasso on American Samoa soccer. That's basically what it is. It's
fantastic.
The somewhat true story of the American Samoa national soccer team that was embarrassed by Australia 31-0.
Yes.
And they are horrible and they cannot play soccer. And Fassbender is an older English Premier player who then became a coach who basically gets fired. And the Federation of Soccer sends him to the worst place in the world to get them one goal. They need to score
Micronesia.
one goal. Yeah. And so, but it's so Taika Waititi.
Fantastic.
It is just him everywhere. There is lovely New Zealand accents in it. It's kind of dorky and it's fun. And it's not serious at all. It's just like, thank God for streaming. This would never be in the theaters. It's a television film. It's fantastic. And I don't know how much they made it for. I'm sure they just told Fassbender, you get a free trip.
Yeah. Enjoy.
Everybody gets a free trip to paradise for a minute. But it's really, listen, it's fun if you like some soccer movies. It's kind of about that, but not really. It's about sort of American Samoa life. And you learn a lot. But 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton is the song in it.
Classic.
There is a bunch of great needle drops in it.
Oh, nice.
Like really big 80s songs.
Yeah.
Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Oh, very good.
There are some really good stuff. But so I wanted to highlight that Dolly is apparently like a really big deal in American Samoa.
Really? I love it.
This is different than the island of Samoa.
Yeah.
So American Samoa is a provincial, it's part of America. Okay.
America.
It is a territory of America. So, but it's also 4,500 miles away, something like that. Warren Brown, I believe, that's who's listed as the music department. I think Waititi actually probably did the music supervision, but he is who's listed, Warren Brown, as the music department person who did it. But yes, it's a fun film. Love hearing 9 to 5 from Dolly and something that isn't Tootsie.
And I love the typewriter solo at the beginning of the whole thing. It's like the I love. It's funny because I did a gig with the Colorado Symphony Orchestra many years ago. That was a women in rock music, and we'd covered 9 to 5, and we had a friend of the show, Kenny Passarelli, formerly Elton John's bass player, wrote Rocky Mountain Way, playing keys and doing stuff, and he did the typewriter solo behind me, and I was like, God, I fucking love you. Yeah. Yep. Such a great song.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah. Well done.
By the way, if you get a chance, YouTube 9 to 5 Dolly Parton, and you can see the band doing basically a fake recording session. I think it's fake, but it's fun to watch the band do it. Like, don't look at the 9 to 5 movie thing, but there's a band video. And it's really fun to watch that because, like, to see people like you see Dolly, and then you see the rest of them, and you're like, oh Jesus, like, that's what session musicians look like.
Yeah, yeah, they look like Jeff Porcaro, or like with the fucking 2 inches of fucking ash hanging off the end of the cigarette, and it's just contributing to the snare tone.
I've been here for 4 hours. We're getting overtime or lunch? What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, I need lunch.
I did my part twice. All right, everybody, let's wrap this sucker up. Hey, make sure to check out StuMillerMusic.com wherever you get your Stu Miller music.
Yeah.
Are you going to do some things? Are you doing some things with more people? Or are you all booked up for a little bit?
I've got all my mentorship spots are taken currently.
Yes.
There is I'm finishing up one studio project this weekend, starting a new one next week, and then I have another one starting in May. So it's starting to happen. So it's good stuff.
Get in there.
Yeah.
Remember to rate and subscribe us over there on the Apple Podcast. Give us 5 stars. Leave a hilarious comment with a lot of cuss words so that Apple will turn it down like they have the last 3.
We're so
proud. We have 3 that are in the queue that Apple says, no.
I love it.
We will not take this because this is a family show.
It is not a goddamn cunt of a family show.
I don't know why our podcast isn't exploding. We have it listed. I told Kelsey, have it listed wherever the podcast is. Family friendly, rated G. And then someone emailed in and said, maybe don't start the episode out with cocksuckers. Cocksuckers! By the way, yeah, that's a great show that's coming up. You can follow us anywhere you follow people at 2ShotsMusicPod. That's the number 2ShotsMusicPod. You can email us 2ShotsMusicPod@gmail.com. And thank you so much for joining us. Until we talk to you next time, we love you.
Love you, bye.
And goodbye.
Cocksuckers.